Hey everyone, my name is Janae, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how I did this DIY wood accent wall in my daughter's room for about $50 with no prior experience, being a complete amateur. So if you are not very handy with tools and just don't really know how to go about like DIY wood wall projects, then this video is definitely for you. I'm going to be sharing my tips and things that I learned along the way so that hopefully you can avoid some of the mistakes that I made, because I had to learn the hard way, because this was my first big project that I undertook by myself pretty much. My husband helped me about 10%, but I'm proud to say that I did about 90% of the work, so I feel pretty proud. So without any further ado, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and leave your comments down below if you want to see more videos like this. So let's jump right into it. So first I took a stud finder tool to try and find and mark where the studs are so that when I go to put the wood up, I can nail into those so the boards are nice and sturdy on the wall. You will later find out that it's not exactly what ended up happening, but let's not jump ahead. So here is all the wood that I already cut and measured to the same length. Then I bought a long, skinny board that will later be used as the little ledge. Now I recommend buying a wider board if you want the ledge to be more functional and put things on, because I learned this the hard way, as you will see at the end of this video. I can't put much of anything on it because it's so narrow. Since I have old baseboard trimming and wasn't about to remove it all, I put some wood along the whole bottom of the wall to act as a frame so that the vertical pieces of wood that I will later be putting up would line up flush against the bottom instead of having some weird looking bottom of the wall. What you see us doing here is measuring to make sure I'm nailing into the beams and not just the drywall. Although some of the nails ended up being just in drywall since the beams are so far apart, and the wood I was using was scraps from the vertical boards. Ideally, you could just use one or two whole long boards so that you don't have to fill in all the extra cracks at the end like I did, but we were trying to save money and we already had this leftover wood, so I figured to make the use of it.
Sometimes what people do is they put adhesive on the back of it too.
I know. Then that's glue and you can never take it off. Not that I plan on ever taking it off, but you know, who knows.
Yep.
Now I'm nailing up the two end vertical pieces. By the way, I believe I used 2-inch nails in the nail gun. I marked where all the studs are and we measured them a few times over, and they're not exactly 16 inches apart, which is usually standard. It fluctuates a little bit, and this wall is also not the length it should be because of that. Because you'll see at the edge here, from here to here, I believe is about 12 inches until the stud. And then on this side, it is only about 7. I may possibly just not nail them into the wall, into the studs altogether, and get some liquid nails. I read that was supposed to work really well for holding like the beams up, and that glue is only about $2. So I think I'm gonna go pick that up today and then just forget about where the studs are and just measure however far apart I want them. Okay, so I ended up spacing them out so that they are about almost 19 inches apart, and it worked out perfectly. I did a little equation that I found online. None of them land on any studs, so I'm gonna go have to get that wood glue and glue them up and then just nail it into the drywall. All right, so you guys probably can't tell, but the line that I drew is slanted because that's just how houses are. They're not perfectly level. So can you see that faint black line I drew. I stopped it here because when I measured it, I put the leveler up to it, and where the leveler lined up with the line to be straight ended up ending about here. And that won't work. So instead of putting that top piece up first, like most people recommend, I didn't do that, and I already have the two side pieces on. So I'm just going to put these pieces on first and then put the top pieces on after, and then fill in whatever gaps I have with the caulking. Next, I grabbed a scrap piece of flooring that I had left over from when we were doing our floors, and I cut this to the exact amount of space that was going to be between each of the vertical boards so that they are evenly spaced out and so that I don't have to keep grabbing my tape measure and measuring each time. It makes the process go so much quicker. So now what I'm doing is taking it and drawing a line on the wall with pencil at the end of it. So I know that is where the center of my vertical wood piece that I'm going to put on the wall will end up landing. Now I'm removing all my taping, since whatever markings I need are already penciled on the wall, and I'm wiping down the piece of wood that is about to go up on the wall so there's no dust and the glue can adhere properly to the board and the wall. The next step I think is so crucial. So basically you're going to put your board up where you want it to go without glue on it yet, just the board, and use a leveler to make sure it's straight on the wall. Then with a pencil, draw a line on each side of the wood on the top and bottoms. So when you go to put your new board up, you already know it's straight and not slanted on the wall. So you're basically just going to make sure that wood is in between those lines on the top and on the bottom. The pencil markings will be covered with paint, so you won't even be able to see them in the end. I made all the markings first. The process was more efficient and I could just glue the boards up quickly without stopping to measure and mark after each board. Now I'm putting up the top framing. Since I ended up using glue, there's no need to put any nails in like I did, since the glue has an extremely strong hold. Nails will just make your life harder and there will be more prep work involved before you can paint, so it's really unnecessary. Again, I learned this the hard way. Now I'm putting up the top little ledge part, so I needed some help since it was a long board, so my husband helped hold the other end. Again, nails are not necessary, but this was my first time doing it, so I used glue and nails. Learn from me, people. You do not need both. My husband took it upon himself to fill in all the cracks and sand it down for me, so now I'm just getting to work painting. And honestly, this painting took the longest amount of time out of the whole entire project. It was tedious and a slow process, but totally worth it in the end, and I definitely learned a thing or two. A tip is to use the correct paintbrush though, so that it doesn't leave any brush strokes, so you don't have to make the work harder for yourself like I did by having to go back and use a roller and try to make it look smoother and better. Now I'm just taping the bottom and the sides so that I don't get any paint on the wall, which I did because I was using the wrong tape. My tape was way too thin, so use a thicker tape, or don't be lazy like I was and double that line up. I had to go back and do touch-ups of the white wall, and when I say I mean my wonderful husband. As you see, I stopped right there. I am rolling the beams so it's a smoother finish. Yeah. That is it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and this video was helpful for you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell if you're not already. If you have any questions or anything I missed, make sure to leave it in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. Happy DIYing and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. What's wrong? Yes? You wanna watch Coco Melon? Ooh, Coco Melon.